Following a growing exodus of hugely experienced doctors leaving the United Kingdom, the National Health Service and other places to work in other countries in search of better life, there have been calls for medical doctors trained in the UK with taxpayers' money to be compelled to give back to their country before seeking greener pastures. According to reports, about 15,000 NHS doctors leave the UK every year for better climes, and of course giving opportunities to Nigerian doctors to be recruited into the system. Joining us now on Breakfast Central is Abass Tijani, who's a social commentator, is joining us from the United States. Good morning. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Abass.
Joining you from the United Kingdom.
Good to have you. Pretty shocking, hearing that, there's people leaving the UK. I mean, the every Nigerian expects that is the, when they're talking about greener pastures for work, that is where everybody wants to go. So help us understand why anyone is leaving the UK and looking for greener pastures anywhere else.
Well, green is the standard color, but then the spectrum of green is quite wide. So it could be light green, it could be deep green. The United Kingdom is one of the most expensive places to live in the world. And this phenomenon, this movement of not just doctors, skilled workers from the UK has been a trend increasingly since the pandemic. They've been lured, particularly by countries like Australia, Germany, and other European countries where the cost of living is much lower. So people are paying half they would normally pay in the UK for the cost of living, and they've been lured by salaries twice of what they are currently getting here. It's a no-brainer, and it's a global trend. As we see it happening from Nigeria to the UK and other parts, it's now happening from the UK to other parts of the world. It's a global trend.
And so, so what are some of these countries that people are, choosing to move to? And is this is this something that should benefit, Nigerians who are looking for greener? I mean, is the UK then opening up for Nigerians or having more job opportunities for Nigerians who, are looking for places to move to?
Well, just to let you know, there are, after the end of last year, there are 12,198 licensed Nigerian doctors in the United Kingdom. And then if you balance that against the backdrop of less than 50,000 registered doctors in Nigeria for a population of 220 million, we are having a major crisis in Nigeria. Now, as regards those doctors coming to the UK, a lot come in. How many stay after 5 years? It just comes down to the same problem. You asked about the countries, these countries that are recruiting. The Gulf region is very, very popular. Qatar, Dubai, and Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia. Australia is a very, very lucrative zone. And then come down to Europe, Germany. Just before Brexit, the end of Brexit, would you know the Britons living in Germany who are eligible for a German passport only decided to take up German nationality on the eve of Brexit. And they did that because it was clear to see the UK is struggling, with Brexit, cost of living crisis. It's getting worse. They actually, just like they do in Nigeria when they want to recruit our nurses, doctors, our teachers, they work with agencies who come to Nigeria and advertise on Nigerian TV, Nigerian newspapers. Now we have countries across Europe and Australia now advertising on UK TV, on UK media, attracting, trained, highly skilled professionals. So it's an increasing trend. What do we get when there's a cost of them? Usually, like when the naira bumps up or when the naira goes low, what you get is a lot of Nigerians coming to the UK trying to lure Nigerians here, who have more disposable cash to come and build homes in Nigeria. It is the same mentality, so to say, in terms of labor as well. So Germany, the Gulf areas, Australia, popular zones right now where they're recruiting.
All right. What is the reality of this for the UK? Prior to this time, we had seen that there are a number of people who live in the UK, and maybe in London particularly, that would complain about the difficulty with which it would take them to access services with the NHS. So what does this new information, what reality does it present for the people living in the UK?
Well, the NHS is the jewel in the crown. The NHS is one of the most powerful and most prestigious institutions in the world. You live in the UK, you don't have to pay for your health services. Grants that against what the services. So it clearly is an issue right now. If the major practitioners, the doctors, are leaving, 90,000 have left just last year, 90,000 left, and balance it against 6,000 just during the pandemic. Now, as they leave, they need to recruit. And where do they come to? They come to Africa. They come to Nigeria. They go to the West Indies. If they don't fill that gap, the NHS feels the pressure. When the NHS feels the pressure, that filters down to the people. The current Prime Minister, has made 5-point promises, one of which is, kind of to reduce inflation, and increase employment, stop the interest rate. It's quite far from that. As we speak, getting worse. The UK is terribly expensive. Don't even talk about London, And in your last news report, you were talking about prisons in the West. Trust me, you don't want to see the status of prison in the West these days.
So if they're going to have to come to Africa to fill in the gap of the number of people who are looking for greener pastures, does this then say that regardless of how high the cost of living in the UK is for these medical professionals, that is still a better reality compared to what they are experiencing in Nigeria? Or would you say that what they have in Nigeria is a much better reality than what they will encounter in the UK?
Well, don't forget that United Kingdom has a long relationship with Nigeria. Former colonial masters, that relationship has, outside of Nigeria, perhaps the city with the most Nigerians outside of Nigeria is London. So that relationship is there. So there's a natural, inclination to want to look towards the United Kingdom for the average Nigerian. But I advise many, if they have any other option, to look elsewhere. Especially those who have skilled labor. There's recruitment going on across the world right now. There are Nigerians in medicine, the doctors working across the world. Saudi Arabia. Why is the UK attractive though? The language, the language makes it easy. Thriving Nigerian communities across the United Kingdom. So it's kind of like home away from home. I describe London as the state of Nigeria, as tech capital. Coming to London, the Nigerian, you feel at home. But those communities are now being right across the world. So if you are in Nigeria and you are looking to leave, to emigrate, it's perhaps better to, do your research, look towards other zones of the world. The United Kingdom is quite tough. That's right.
Yeah. What do you think would happen in the next, couple of years? What we see is that, they create new immigration policies to fix whatever challenges that they seem to be facing. If they realize that there's a brain drain, they need more hands, they open up, the immigration policies, have more black people flood the place, not just blacks, from other places to do jobs that their citizens wouldn't even touch. And so sometimes that might even sound insulting, looking at the number of people who are having to do those care jobs in the UK to earn, £20 an hour, maybe £14 an hour. But do you think that this trend will continue? Will they just, have to keep taking advantage of, the Nigerians and, of course, people from third world countries who are looking for greener pastures? Will they continue to adjust their immigration policies in the next couple of years to fill up these spaces?
The immigration policy changes every day. And it is that change is premised on prevailing circumstances.
Yeah.
So the change is a constant. It happens all the time. And that's why, there are people who want to come to the UK. They go online and onto .gov.uk to read what's happening. And then in 2 days' time, you realize it's changed again because they follow the numbers and they need to keep filling those gaps. Now, would we blame the United Kingdom for reaching out? Hey, every nation takes care of itself. Every nation does what it takes to, to make things happen. And your environment always determines what you do. And that is what I would like Nigerian environment to also take note. Tonight, policymakers in Nigeria to look at the environment and make it work. I do know in Nigeria, it was the last year, and there was a motion that was also moved, for medical practitioners who have schooled in Nigeria to at least, almost like an indenture to spend 5 years before they leave, and there was a lot of, clamor against that medical community. Just like when Nigel Farage made that video that went viral yesterday, it's like You can't compel people. Everybody wants the best for them. That's human nature. What government owes its people is a stable environment. And what the British government do, just to make sure that the NHS lives as close as possible to its undertakings, is to keep trying to fill that. And they'll go everywhere. That's what any nation that wants to develop its and help its people, that's what they do. So we need to be doing that on the other hand in Nigeria as well. One really cannot knock the UK for trying to do that. That's life.
Absolutely. I mean, every country, I agree with the part where you said every country needs to look out for itself, when making these policies. Sometimes Nigeria may not be doing that, but, I mean, it is what it is. Talk a little bit about the United States proper. Do we expect that, that we might see easing of the immigration policies at some point to maybe accept more people, coming over there to work?
Well, election year is just around the corner.
Yeah.
So if Donald Trump comes in, nobody knows what's going to happen. He's quite anti-immigration. But the United States, as a country, is a nation that has always welcomed immigrants from across the world. Obviously, they have a challenge with the neighboring countries, where the countries kind of border the country where it's harder to control. But the United States generally has always welcomed and notably Nigerians have been ranked as some of the highest immigrants in the United States. So you would always get tweaks here and there from time to time. But essentially, America welcomes them immigrants, particularly the highest.
All right. We, of course, we keep following with the updates in these different countries and looking at exactly how it can impact our country here in Nigeria. Thank you very much, Abass Tijani, for joining us. We know that it's
so
very early hours of the morning, so thank you for sacrificing the time.
I'm going to send my invoice.
We'll be waiting. Thank you very much for sacrificing the time to be with us.
Thank you so much.